And then, so we've covered Rick and Sasha's moments throughout the whole episode, and Daryl and Aaron finding evidence of the wolves or the wolf gang getting ever closer and more present in the show. But we also have the little Carl and Enid story on the side. Enid is the girl who Carl saw hop the wall a couple episodes back and followed her out into the woods, but didn't see where she went or what she was doing. But he followed her this time. In fact, she found him, and they ended up talking and bonding a little bit about loss and who they are and what's happened to them. And Carl didn't really get any straight answers from her. Like, what are you doing out here? Why are you out here to begin with? Like, what's the point? What are you up to? And she dodged his questions and just kept kind of like answered a question with a question almost. And it's, only gets me more suspicious that, and I might have talked about this in one of my, in my last recap video, but one of my theories about this girl was that the fact that they said she was the boys who Carl was playing video games with said that she was, not very talkative, not very social, kind of hard to warm up to, and she's fairly new to Alexandria. In fact, she's like a few weeks old in terms of like how long she's lived there. So, and the fact that she hops the wall to get in and out of Alexandria means that she really doesn't want anybody to know that she's even leaving or coming back in for that matter. Which leads me to suspect, and this might be a crazy outlandish theory, but I'm sure other people might have thought of this too, or maybe not. But my theory is that she might be some kind of infiltrator or spy for the Wolf Gang. She might intentionally or unintentionally be a servant or not so willing servant to the Wolf Gang. It might be a deal where they have her mom or her family held hostage with a knife to their throat saying, hey, you spy for us and report back to us of what Alexandria is like, how many people there are, how many guns there are, and we won't kill your family. And she's like, okay, I'll go. I'll pose as a helpless, lost little girl and I'll get all the information you need so you can attack them. So it may seem kind of ridiculous almost, and a bit elaborate, but I think it's entirely possible. I mean, you could always have an infiltrator or a spy in your camp, so it's entirely possible. But at the same time, she just might be an isolated, traumatized girl who just needs a friend or somebody to listen to. And I think Carl was attempting to reach out to her and get her to open up as to what she's been through, what she's lost, who she's lost, and, who she has ultimately become, which is like the big theme of season 5 is who do we become or who we become. And they had a few zombie kills together, and of course they conveniently end up crammed in a tree together to hide from a herd. And the whole time it's like you feel yourself leaning toward the TV and you're like, kiss, 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 you're going to kiss, and they don't. She does touch his hand tenderly, saying like, I kind of like you, that awkward teenage girl thing. And of course he's probably thinking to himself, oh boy, that's supposed to be his voice cracking. But I'm sure we'll get much more backstory on her. I don't know if it'll be in the season finale, although it could be. They did say it's been extended because they want to include as much action and character development as possible, so we could get more backstory on her. And if she does survive the season finale, which I don't think she will, we'll get to learn more about her in season 6. So overall, great episode, very, very intense. It really made you the whole time you're like, ugh. You've got this look on your face like, ugh, geez, like, you're almost cringing, usually you're cringing at the gore and the violence on the show, but in this case, you're cringing at the fact that characters you like and care about are starting to lose it. They're starting to lose their grip, and you don't like seeing that because you care about them. You're like, ugh, geez, Rick, geez, Sasha, get it together. So, now, moving on to next week's big episode, which is the season finale. So they say it's going to be 90 minutes long. But the little thing I'm a little fuzzy about, I'm kind of unclear about. Maybe it's just me, but maybe, or maybe it's them, but it could just be me not having all the facts. Is this going to be like an actual hour and a half time slot, or a 2 hour time slot for like an almost 90-minute movie? Because films that are an hour and a half usually have a 2 hour time slot on TV, although it seems highly unlikely that that's the case here. This just might be a full-on 90 minutes. And the fact that, because the Greg Nicotero, the head makeup guy, was saying, and one of the executive producers was saying, this episode is so big in scale, in terms of storytelling and action and character drama, that he and Scott Gimple went to the AMC executives, went to the network saying, hey, we've got an idea for our season finale, but is it possible to make it an hour and a half? Could you guys do that for us? And sure enough, they're like, yeah, sure, let's do it. Let's give you an hour and a half season finale. We're on board. And he says that it's really, Greg Nicotero has been teasing it, saying it's phenomenal. Like, the cast and crew, the actors, the crew members, everybody should get an Emmy in recognition of their work on this episode. So that's a very good sign. Hopefully all of this hype and excitement leading up to the big season finale pays off. Now, another thing we have to be very worried about, and quite frankly terrified about, is that Norman Reedus, who plays Daryl, has said that bring your Kleenex, you're going to be crying and screaming and throwing your box of tissues at the television. And Michael Kudlitz, I think that's how you say his last name, the guy who plays Abraham, says this episode is going to piss off a lot of people. Now, that could mean a number of things, and there are a few possibilities that I'm considering. Number one, and God forbid, and it's a very, very slim possibility, because I honestly believe they will never, ever kill him off, not until the final season, which is hopefully very, very far away. But I don't think they'll kill him because he's just too much of a popular character, and they'll lose more than half of their viewership, as they could kill Daryl. I know I said it, but hopefully it won't come to that. Although I'm sure they'd like us to think that, so we'll tune in and watch. But no, I don't think it's going to be Daryl, and I don't think it's going to be Rick either. Those are two guys you just can't kill off. And they like to say that nobody's untouchable on the show, but that's half a truth, because there are some characters you just can't kill off. At least not right away. Some characters you can keep around for 1 or 2 seasons, and then after their second or third season, you can be like, okay, you can go now, so long, goodbye. But some characters you just can't kill off. So it is possible, however highly unlikely, that Daryl will bite it. Now, the more likely possibility, in my opinion, and I hate to say this too, because she's a great character and she has grown so much, and she's had a fascinating arc since the beginning of the show, is that Carol is going to die. And I really do hate to say that, but I honestly see no other option as to who could possibly bite a bullet in the season finale. I know lots of people are saying and guessing that Glenn could bite it, but then again, that doesn't necessarily mean Negan's appearance. He could just get shot in action by an unknown character, or get ripped apart by walkers. But Carol just seems like the most likely candidate to die next. Her and Sasha. I'll get to Sasha in a second, but Carol, it's like, and like I said in my last video, when your solution to fix every problem is to kill somebody, you're not going to